Hello and welcome to the Radiate Wellness Podcast with your host, metaphysician, Reiki master, and hypnotherapist, Christy Clemens Hoffman. Each week, we will discover teachings, tips, and tools to radiate your best life ever with practitioners, authors, and luminaries to help you on your path. Wellness, joy, peace, abundance. What do you want to radiate?
Hello, and welcome back to the Radiate Wellness Podcast, where today we radiate the spoken word with Reverend Lynn Ann LaBorde, who is a psychic medium and the founder of Sohmalife Sanctuary, where she serves as a transformational alchemist, guiding individuals to transmute personal struggles into spiritual enlightenment. And with over 40 years of experience in various metaphysical practices, including advanced pranic healing, hypnotherapy, and Reiki, Lynn has trained under renowned mentors and authored Channeling Magdalene, A Year of Love. Through her Sohmalife Sanctuary in Huntington, New York, she has hosted more than 500 events and reached an audience of over 25,000 globally, both in person and online. Lynn's mission is to help others to reconnect with their divine essence and return to their natural, healthy state as sacred beings. Welcome. That's quite a bio.
I have to pay extra to whoever wrote that. It's all true, but that's a mouthful. Good
That
Lord.
is a lot. I know, right? I do a lot of things too. I kind of shorten it down to readings, Reiki, and regression.
I love that. I
So
love that. I love the alliteration.
alliteration is kind of my jam. So what
Very
really
cool.
struck me about your bio is channeling Magdalene, because I channel
Mm.
Magdalene as well.
I love that.
You do a lot of things. Psychic medium, founder of the Soma Life Sanctuary, so many things, channeling, Reiki, hosting events. Wow. Thank you so much for joining me today. Sorry, I'm
Very welcome.
punchy.
You're very, very welcome.
There's a lot of things that you do. How did you get started in all of this?
When I was 11 years old, my mom's best friend gave my mom, and then my sister and I had to read it because we read everything my mom read, a copy of a book called The Sleeping Prophet about Edgar Cayce. And I tore through that thing. And something about the Akashic Records resonated like home or something familiar. And I
Mhm.
think that was 1971. So at the time, you had to go to India to get your records read. But it just set me on a trail to kind of seek out anything metaphysical. I wanted to meditate. I wanted to learn how to levitate at 11. Little out there. And I think all there was like Seth Speaks by Jane Roberts. There was Chariots of the Gods by Eric von Däniken. And then Shirley MacLaine came out with her books. But it set me on this track. Like I believed in past lives. I knew that stuff was true. And it's funny because my sister read the book, but she went into nutrition because Edgar Cayce used to heal people through nutrition. But it definitely was something that jump started me into everything metaphysical. And then I had an experience. I have like 41 certificates that I've garnered over the years because I studied Georgetown University. I majored in Chinese. That was clearly a past life bleed through. But I just had always had this bent towards wanting to do anything metaphysical. So I came across Reiki, have 3 different Reiki master certificates, like just had to master everything that I was working on. But really, it was about a place of me learning how to get back to the divinity within myself. And I was young. I think it was probably Kathleen Unger who said to me, well, what do you think your purpose is, being here on planet Earth now? And without even blinking, Christy, I said, to remind people of their relationship with God. And I was like, where did that come from? But it was just this thing in me. And when I was about 22, I was working on this book called 3 Magic Words. And the 3 magic words were, you are God. And you would go and do these deep meditations. And in one of them, I heard the voice. I didn't know who it was at the time, but it was Yeshua, commonly known as Jesus. And he started talking to me and it scared the crap out of me. But one day he said to me, take an extra pair of stockings to work. And I'm like, what? It was a Friday. I was going to go out dancing with friends, wearing a black dress, black stockings, black heels. He goes, get an extra pair of stockings. And I'm thinking, I don't have another black pair. Third time he says, bring an extra pair of stockings. I'm like, all right, shove them in my purse. Don't think anything. My girlfriend Mary calls and she goes, hey, you want to go to the Rusty Pelican for lunch? I'm like, sure. Everything was like a nautical theme. So the chairs were wooden. And as I go to get up at the end of the meal, my stockings tear. And I'm like, get out of here. So I started to listen to him. And it kind of unfolded this whole life. I channel. So transformational alchemist is someone who turns darkness into light, the same way that an alchemist turns lead into gold. And it's something that I call him Yeshua, taught me how to do. I now channel about 20 different ascended masters, and Mary Magdalene is one of them. And Yeshua and Magdalene came to me in 2020, and they said, would you go through 1 year of the 365 lessons of A Course in Miracles, channeling Magdalene every day? recording everything she says, and then we'll turn it into a book. And I wanted nothing to do with that book. I thought had like imposter syndrome. I was like, there's no way. But when we got back from Egypt in 2023, they came to me and they said, it's time to publish the book. So this is the book. And
Oh,
it's 744 pages of the most beautiful commentary. And my friends that know me are like, yeah, you don't talk like that. This is definitely not you. It's definitely Magdalene.
I know.
So
Beautiful there.
so here's another crazy story. I have a friend named Matanya, and I saw Matanya with this picture, and I go, "That's Hathor," because Hathor was the very first being that came to me when I received my first Reiki initiation. The lights in the room started flickering. This
Mhm.
golden beam of light hits me in my third eye. I say Hathor's name out loud. I write down her symbol, and I had no idea. It's 1996. We didn't have iPhones. We didn't have the internet. So we went to Barnes& and Noble, my friend and I. Do you know who or what a Hathor? And they said, "Oh, she's the Egyptian goddess of women." And all of a sudden, all these past life memories started coming to me. So now I had like evidence, evidence of I knew I was, Egyptian and had this connection with Hathor and all that. So little did I know that Hathor was of this whole pantheon of priestesses that were of the Sophia lineage. And if you've read the Sophia Code, you know I'm talking about Hathor and Isis and Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary and Green Tara and Kuan Yin and so on. And so when Magdalene showed up, she just felt like home to me. I'd never contact a being that for me felt more loving. And, Yeshua was up there, but there was something about Magdalene. And what he says about her is she went from being my student to becoming my teacher and was the greatest living embodiment of a Christed being, which is why I turned my lineage over to her.
I don't doubt that at all. No, she comes through as a powerhouse for me. Very loving
Yeah.
and kind, but she wants everybody to do their work, and she
Yep.
stresses the urgency
Yes.
we all have. That is so wonderful. So this book it's about A Course in Miracles?
Yeah. So, today's or tomorrow's going to be lesson 169. So I would read from the original Course in Miracles book that Helen Schuckman, like she would see Jesus writing on a board and then she would write in shorthand everything that he wrote. And so they wrote that book together. And Yeshua and Magdalene came to me and they said, will you take her on a journey? There's a woman named Tina Spalding who had just done a year of channeling Jesus where he was making commentary on the Course in Miracles lessons that he had written with Helen all those years ago. That book is called A Year of Forgiveness. So I was in Tina's community at the time, and Yeshua and Magdalene came to me and I said to Tina, I channel Magdalene. And she's like, oh my God, tell everybody. So we started having this big following. It's like Tina was channeling Yeshua and I was channeling Magdalene. And then this book came up. So we wrote the lesson, we wrote the title, like the lesson of the day is I live by grace I am relieved. And then Magdalene channeled, and it all got written down here, like just some beautiful, beautiful words about that lesson. So it was the divine feminine wisdom of Magdalene on the 365 lessons of A Course in Miracles. And we published it in 2023. It got published on the 18th of July, but it got in my hands on July 22nd, which happens to be her feast day. Like you can't make this up. So at the end of last year, she came to me and she said, I want you to write our second book together. And I was like, what's it called? And she said, La vie et la vérité de Marie Magdalene, which is the life and truth of Mary Magdalene. And the stuff that she brought through, like, I'm going to get in so much trouble and I don't care. Like, I really don't care. But the truth that has come through with that book, I mean, I was going to her church. I was going to sitting in front of her bones. I was going to the grotto. It was 5 months in Europe and then another 4 months in Europe, spending time with her. And sometimes Yeshua would come through, and sometimes the Lords of the Records would come through, and sometimes Sophia would come through, or Hathor would come through. But I saw my girlfriend, Matanya, with this beautiful portrait of Hathor, and I reached out to her. This was 2021. And I said to her, hi, my name is Lynn. We were in a similar community together. I said, that's a painting of Hathor. Can I buy it from you? And she said, I don't know. I need to check with the painting. And I was like, oh my God, one of my fellow weirdos. How exciting. And she checks with the painting. She comes back to me a few days later. I said, I'd like to buy the painting. And she tells me the price. And she said it took me about 6 weeks. I don't remember it taking that long. But we made this agreement and I paid her out over a year. She sent me the painting. A few months later, I see this painting. And I said to her, excuse me, that's Mary Magdalene. She goes, I need to check with the painting. She comes back and she goes, yep, it's Mary Magdalene. These are the hills of Qumran. Look at this beautiful heart. And then there's literally golden, like fairy dust in her hand. But
Yes.
I said, I'd like to use it as the cover of the book. So there's now the second book. And about 6 months ago, she said, Magdalene wants me to paint her again. And I go, wow, I wonder why. So of the, I think, 26 paintings, I've probably been involved in about 14 of them, either recommending them or I'm the first person she shows me when she starts the paintings. She's also painted this incredible painting of Yeshua and another one of my higher self, who is a being that was known as Sahaniel, which I've come to find out is actually Haniel, the archangel. So it's been like a crazy mystical journey, but both of the books on Magdalene are going to be the paintings of Matanya. She's become a very, very dear friend. So it's been quite a journey with her.
Yeah, that was beautiful, beautiful painting. When is this next book coming out? La Ville.
It'll it'll be out this summer. We're in the process of assembling it. There's some truths that are coming out that I'm like, you really want me to say that? Some things that Yeshua wants people to know, some things that Magdalene, beyond the things of that they were married and they had kids, talking
Right.
about her first marriage and who she was married to and what that was like and how that impacted Christianity and, what happened after the crucifixion and where they went and, why his body disappeared and kind of all the truth of that. And Daniel Merois, who's an incredible author who wrote the Three Marys, he wrote The Secret Life of Yeshua. He actually found Magdalene's full gospel in French in the Akashic Records, and they allowed me to translate it into English, so that's gonna be in the book as well.
Oh, wow. How wonderful.
Yeah, it's incredible, just
I'm
incredible.
looking forward to this story coming out. This is so great. Well, beyond what you've already shared, any truths that you can let us know now before the book is out? I don't want to take too much of your time, but I would like to ask you a few simple favors. First of all, please rate, review, and share this podcast wherever you're listening. It sounds like a simple little thing, and it is, but it has a huge impact for us because it helps other people find us in the podcasting algorithms. I don't know how it works, but I do know that it helps a lot. Next, if you would subscribe or follow wherever you're listening, whether that's YouTube or Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pandora, Spotify, wherever you're listening, just hit subscribe or follow, and that helps you and it helps us. It helps you because then you receive notifications when we have a new episode that's out. It helps us because, again, algorithm magic, I don't know what happens, but it helps. And then finally, you can support our podcast in a tangible way by going to radiatewellnesscommunity.com/podcast and then click on support the show. Now, we have a new feature too. We are now on Patreon. You can find us on Patreon. You can also find the link to Patreon when you go to radiatewellnesscommunity.com/podcast. So on Patreon for $3 a month or $5 a month, you can support your metaphysical and spiritual growth. You can learn about upcoming guests and you can get early and ad-free versions of the shows. So please support us. This podcast is free for you to listen, but we have costs and quite frankly, they come out of my pocket. So if you like this content, if you get a lot out of it, please see what you can do to give back. Thank you so much.
Her first husband was Saul of Tarsus, and he was very brutal with her. Very, very brutal with her, like the worst thing that you could imagine to a woman he did to her. And they actually had a child, and then she ended up leaving him, and he then became Paul, and the reason why he was so misogynistic and why he called her a whore was because of how much he hated Magdalene and hated Yeshua. So what he did with Christianity was completely different than anything that Yeshua had ever intended. So just, things like that, the fact that Yeshua did not die on the cross, the fact that they went to France, they lived in, Rennes de Chateau, just their journeys, what it is that she was taught, where it was that she was trained the same way that Mother Mary was trained, the lineage of the rose and what that means, and there's so much to it. You're gonna love the book, especially if you have a connection with her, which is why we're sitting in front of each other. Because 'Cause I'm always like, "Here's the podcasts. Why is someone bringing me forth?" And she was like, "Oh, that's me." So she has a very dear and precious connection with you is what she's telling me. And I was trained to channel. I first learned to channel, the goddess Athena, and then I worked with Hathor for years, and then I worked with Archangel Michael, and then all these different beings just started coming through. And when Magdalene and Yeshua came, they were kind of like, "We're here to stay." I'm also working really closely with Sophia right now, and as I ascend, there's a group of women, there's 13 of us, that are gonna be going on a journey that I'm calling the reclamation of the high priestess that Magdalene is going to lead. And we're starting on July 1st. It's gonna be a 6-month journey of women bringing forth and remembering themselves as high priestesses from their times as Essenes, from their times in Egypt, from times in Atlantis, and helping people. I teach people how to read the Akashic records. I teach them how to do healing within the records. And it's not just earth lineage, it's soul lineage, it's what do we wanna call them? It's universal. It spans to Lyra and, you go through Sirius to get to Arcturus and that whole kind of cosmic lineage. It's very cool.
It's all connected though.
It is, of course.
All
Of course. Of course it is.
interdimensional. Right. You also do pranic healing.
You do. That's the healing that Yeshua did. It's what he was taught at Carmel, and it's how he taught the apostles to heal. If anyone's ever seen the TV show The Chosen, they've done a beautiful job with it. I applaud Dallas for what he's done. He's gotten a lot of pushback for it, but when he sent them out to do the healing, he taught them how to use light to heal people, and different colors of light have different purposes, different frequencies, within the prism of the light spectrum. And chronic healing is a way of using light to clear what is dirty and congested prana, chi, ki, whatever you want to call it. And it comes from interactions. It comes from food that we have. It comes from thoughts that we think. It comes from trauma that we've kept, trapped and stuck in the body. And very simple techniques. It's a use of crystals. And before Yeshua left, crystals are on the other side of the room. He actually imbued all rose quartz with his frequency of love. So when people use rose quartz, they use it because literally carries his energy signature. Here's the power of words. So in the beginning was the words, beginning of the New Testament, right? What we speak manifests, what we think manifests. Yeshua says to me, if you understood the power of the spoken word, if you understood the power of the thoughts, you would never think another negative thought again. And evil speech can be gossiping, complaining, criticizing, judging. So we have to be very vigilant about that because every word that we think, every word that we speak has such power and potency that it actually impacts the person that we're thinking or speaking about. So if we're judging somebody, we're literally sending darkness to them. The same way that if you pray, when you do prayers and invocations and mantras, and you say positive things, you raise your frequencies. So there's a beautiful prayer called the Ana Bakoach in Kabbalah, which is something I've studied for years. And when you say that, you literally align yourself to the frequency of the Creator.
Mm.
When you say the Lord's Prayer, you're aligning yourself to Yeshua. And I've memorized the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic. And one of the people in my group who also channels Yeshua, he's on my YouTube platform. His name is Dr. Jim Goldstein. He writes music and he said, Jesus has been showing up to me in the shower and we wrote this song together. So he sings the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic and that's how we all learned it.
Oh my
So,
God.
yeah, it's been really beautiful.
You've
Really,
had
really
some
beautiful.
amazing teachers and colleagues and collaborators. Isn't
I
this
have. I've been blessed. The most incredible mentors. David Guillaume from the Kabbalah Center, Shalom Sharabi from the Kabbalah Center, by the name of Alan Walter, who I spent years with, Power Leadership. Dr. Vernon Wolf and Holodynamics, I spent 5 years working with him, became a teacher. I always go to the highest level that I can within any organization because I want to be of the highest service that I can to spirit.
and then you created this institute.
Mhm. Sohmalife Sanctuary. Yeah.
Yes. Can you tell us about that?
It's a place where we're now online after COVID. I mean, COVID was rough for a lot of people, and I had COVID once, but COVID was a huge blessing for me. I got to take my entire business online. When I learned how to read the Akashic Records, I studied with a woman named Linda Howe, who wrote the quintessential book called How to Read the Akashic Records.
Mm.
And we spent 4 months, and we did a platform that was called Learn It Live. And Spirit was showing me, they said, "You're gonna be teaching in this platform." And it wasn't Learn It Live, it was Zoom. And so I've taught thousands of people, and I've worked for tens of thousands of hours doing work within the realm of the Akash. And Sahaniel, or Haniel, is known as She Who Remembers. And she was one of the architects of the Akashic Records. And the very, very first time I ever opened the records, Christy, they were screaming at me, jumping up and down, "Halls of Amenti! Halls of Amenti! Halls of Amenti!" And I was like, "What's going on?" So I closed my records. I was terrified. I went to my teacher, Linda, and I was like, "What just happened?" And she said, "Oh, well, they're really excited to see you. Have you found out what the Halls of Amenti are?" And I said, "No, I thought you'd know." So I Googled it and it said the Halls of Amenti. Listen to this. Like, you can't make this stuff up. The Halls of Amenti is where the Akashic records were kept by Thoth in Atlantis. And when
Oh,
Atlantis was destroyed, he put them in the spaceship. He took them to Egypt, and they're buried under the paw near the front of the Sphinx. So it was very interesting that when we went to Egypt, I came back and Magdalene and Yeshua said, it's time to publish the book. So 3 friends of mine in my community, in my closer community, came to me and they said, we'll help you with the editing of the book. And I'm like, how much do you want? And they're like, no, 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 we'll do it for free. The book has been translated into Chinese, German, French is in process, Spanish, and Russian. People have come forth and said, I'd love to translate this book for you for free. It's been a trip, an absolute trip.
I cannot wait to read it. Who's the publisher?
I self-published on Amazon.
Okay. Okay.
So you can literally go to Amazon.com. It's called Channeling Magdalene, A Year of Love, channeled by Reverend Lynn LaBorde. It says Mary Magdalene's Divine Wisdom on the 365 Lessons from A Course in Miracles. And my friend who did the transcription for me originally, his name is Willem Van Galen. He reached out to FIP, which is the Foundation of Inner Peace that published the first Course in Miracles. And he asked them permission. And they said, if Magdalene is bringing forth her wisdom about the lessons, we bless this. So they gave us their blessings and they gave us the right to use the titling and the numbering for the book. So it was blessed everywhere we turned. It was just so blessed. The guy that helped us edit it to get it on Amazon was an absolute dream. The publishing, I mean, all of it. And, I haven't done anything. It's sold about 500 copies because it's been pretty quiet. Not a lot of people know about it, but there's now a recommendation when you go to buy A Course in Miracles on Amazon to buy it along with Tina's book, with Yeshua talking on the lessons, and my book with Magdalene talking on the lessons. So it's an absolute blessing.
Right, because the original Course in Miracles is very dense. It's hard to understand. There's
And this makes it so much easier. There's one review and she says, and I actually met her. So funny. She says, if my house was burning down, there's only one thing I would take with me, and it's this book. Sweetest thing ever. Many people say this is an absolute must for readers of A Course in Miracles. So again, it's the power of the word. Yeshua and Magdalene are constantly with me, guiding me, suggesting, going, hey, turn left, not right, or, go up, not down, or whatever. I ask them constantly, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? Because Yeshua's first words to Helen Schuckman were, you will see miracles through your hands through me. And he said to her, this is A Course in Miracles, please take notes. Then that started their incredible journey of correspondence that went from 65 to 71. But by the end of it, she was burnt out. There was a lot that she and Ken Wapnick didn't want included, and it actually got left out. But many, many years later, after the copyright was repealed, because she had given a copy of the book to the Edgar Cayce Institute without any copyright on it. So there was a guy named Doug Thompson who found her handwritten shorthand notes, and he transcribed all of that, published a book called The Text, big yellow book. I have it on the floor over there. And then he said it'll take someone about 10 years to go back through all the changes that Yeshua made and undo kind of like everything that Wapnick had done, because no one was supposed to edit that book except for Bill Thetford. But Helen and Ken Wapnick edited the heck out of it. So there's a lot that was taken out. And there's a purple version called the Circle of Atonement version of A Course in Miracles, in which Robert Perry painstakingly took 11 years and put it back together as Jesus had originally intended it. And it's incredible.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
So you've talked quite a bit about the Akashic records. So
Mhm. Oh, and by the way, Jesus mentions the Akashic Records 8 times in A Course in Miracles.
wow, I haven't read the whole Course in Miracles. What does he mention about the Akashic records?
So there's a point when he's doing the first 50 miracle principles, and he says at the end of it, his exact phrase is that, don't worry, whatever it is you do will not go on your permanent records. And Robert Perry says he's referring to the Akashic records. So I had the Circle of Atonement version on my iPad. So I just Googled record or records in that entire thing, and 8 references came up where you can tell that he's referring to the Akashic records. So the Akashic records to me is basically God's consciousness. It's the spiritual iCloud of anything we've ever thought, anything we've ever said, anything we've ever done across all of time and space. And when you say the prayer, again, the power of the spoken word, you attune yourself to the frequency of the records, and then you can go into the records. And how I memorized that prayer, I used to do sensory deprivation tanks with the salt water. The water's like this, and you're floating in the water. And I was like, oh, I wonder if I have the prayer. And I started to say the prayer out loud. And literally the prayer folded itself into my heart. It was such a crazy, surreal experience. And I'm like, oh my God. It's like that scene in where Neo goes, I know Kung Fu in The Matrix. Because they like put the little chip in and downloaded the information. So the Akashic records to me have such a I have an incredibly precious relationship. There's the lords of the records, there's the masters, the teachers, and the loved ones. And they're so excited. So I do these master classes on Friday for about a half an hour where I invite people to come. I explain what the records are. And my assistant, I have a staff of beautiful psychic beings that work with me. They'll pick one of the people from the group and I'll open up the records. And I am an oracle and a full body trance channel. So I actually go into an altered state and bring forth another consciousness. So I don't have a remembrance of what goes on. But I bring forth these beings. And if you watch from video to video, like sometimes I'm tapping my hands and sometimes my voice really changes. And my mom, she's so funny. She's like 87. She goes, "You just sound like you have a British accent." Like, thanks, mom.
Your mom got into this such a long time ago, turning you and your sister onto the Edgar Cayce.
Edgar Case. Yep, yep. Listen, my grandmother, my mother, my sister, my nieces, like I got a whole family full of psychics.
Mhm. So it's going to be a family business. So
Huh?
back to the records. What can a knowledge of the records teach us?
Anything and everything you want to know about your existence. If you want to understand what it is that you're challenged by, if you want to understand what it is that you're afraid of, if you want to understand why you have certain patterns and habits, the records will show you. I had this unbelievable fear of spiders. Like, if there was a tiny little spider in the ceiling, I'd be running out of the room screaming, "Somebody needs to kill the spider." And I was like, "Why am I so terrified of spiders?" And I was shown a lifetime in Egypt where I had been like a competition between myself and another being who had held the energy of Isis at the time. And we were training in the temples and we were making jewelry. And there was some jewelry that went missing. And she had the jewelry hidden in my room and then had me arrested. Her father was the captain of the guard. So they put me in this dungeon. Her father got me pregnant with child. When it was time for the child to be delivered, she took the baby from me and left me in the dungeon to die. And the only thing that was my companion at the time was a spider. So I developed this affinity with the spider kingdom. So in the next incarnation, I come in and I'm very dark. And I use the spiders to do my bidding, to kill people. I mean, you're going into some really, really dark, old, ancient stuff when you go into the records. But I was like, wow. So, you make amends for that. You do your forgiveness work, forgiving and asking for forgiveness. And all of a sudden, I had this affinity with spiders, and they hardly show up. But when they do, it's friendly now for me. If there's a spider in the house, I'll put it under a cup, put a piece of paper on it, and throw it out in the garden. So it completely transforms relationships. You can go in and you can find out, why did this person do this to me? I had these students, these girls, and one said, "Why did my mother abandon her children?" And the records weren't answering. And I said, "What's happening is you're trying to read your mother's records and you don't have her permission. She's not here." She said, "No, my mother's dead." And I said, "Okay. So here's a better question you can ask of pure self responsibility. Why did I choose to have a mother that would abandon me?" And then you go into, "Oh, and a few lifetimes ago, you abandoned her." And it's basically like leapfrog, like from lifetime to lifetime, we're trading, relationships. The father was the mother, the brother was the son, the sister was the uncle. Everybody's been everybody to everybody else. We've killed each other, we've loved each other, we've raped each other, we've birthed each other, we've just pretty much done everything. And when there's a pattern that's really challenging for someone, it becomes part of what's called tikkun. And when you diligently work on revealing that, you ask, God, Father, Mother, God, Source, Creator of the universe, whatever you want to call it, how can I heal this? The assistance comes in the most extraordinary ways. And the records are the guide for that. It's kind of like that scene in Harry Potter where he goes in and there's the hall with all the remembrals, those little glass orbs. And everything is recorded, every single aspect. We have physical senses and then we have the psychic senses that correspond. Clairsentience, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clair gusto, clairalliance. I teach people how to open those through classes that I teach. And in those classes, when you open those, when you go into the records, you can see things and hear things and feel things and smell things and taste them. And when information comes in, it's just known where it's coming from, dates and times and places and people. I've gone and seen 3 of my graves from other incarnations. That's been a trip.
That's amazing stuff.
Uh,
I
very
think you also do quantum healing and
Mhm.
step into the power within. Now, this is not quantum healing hypnosis technique.
No, no, no. This is not QHHT. So we take people into the quantum realm to do this healing. And you're actually taking people into their Akashic records, not just to read it like a book, but imagine like diving into it. And you take people on a journey. You have them meet their higher self, you have them meet their spirit guides, and they're led to these places to go in and do this healing. The reason we call it quantum is it's kind of like dominoes. If you have an original incident that's happened, what happens is each lifetime will repeat the pattern of that blocked energy until you release it, but you go back to the original domino, and then the whole line flattens. The whole energy of it ceases to be an issue for you, like the way that spiders are no longer an issue for me, things like that. Whatever it is that people have fear of, there's some aspect of healing that's available for them there that's going to completely alter the way that they think and the way that they feel and the way that they talk and speak and everything else. It's really powerful.
Also, just understanding where this comes from, where that
Mhm. It all comes from God. Like everything comes from God. Life is not happening to us, life is happening for us. And the more, as my Kabbalah teacher, David Guillaume says, the more that we can approach it with certainty and love. As I was mentioning to you, I have a girlfriend. We were just in Israel last week with David and a whole group of us. And Yeshua said to me, "You need to leave by Monday." And there was an event that was happening later in the week, and he's like, "You need to leave by Monday." Well, Tuesday was when the bomb started, when the whole thing lit up. So she was in a car today for 14 hours to be driven from Tel Aviv down through Sinai, cutting across to Suez and going into Cairo to be able to get back home because El Al canceled her flights. And it was a crazy, crazy experience. But she just had the certainty of knowing that she was going to make it home and she was going to be fine. And when you hold that certainty, like our journey here is to act like the creator. That's why we were given the mind of God to be able to create with the mind of God. And that's why what we think and what we speak manifests. So when you put yourself into a place of certainty of knowing that something is going to happen, by golly, it happens. It's fascinating.
I've got a girlfriend in Istanbul, Turkey right now, and I'm
Mm.
worried about her coming back.
Yeah,
All of them
she'll
will.
she'll make it. She'll make it.
She will, but I just
Oh, listen, Ingrid was sending me pictures of them in the stairwell, in the bomb shelter 4 flights down. You can't get in the elevators. You're up on the 6th floor, you gotta walk down 6 floors to the lobby and then another 4 to the bomb shelter, so I get it. She's like, "The building is shaking." We're watching the footage of what looks like fireworks in the sky as the missiles are, flying back and forth. Tell me your friend's name.
yeah, Violetta.
I'll put her in my prayers.
Yeah, appreciate that.
So I know we talked about, the word in the very beginning of this. And just the last thing that I want to say, I know you got to get to class, is be vigilant and mindful of the words that we speak and let them be words of kindness and let them be words of certainty for whatever it is that we want to manifest. And ask how we can be of service. God, what would you have me do? That's what Yeshua used to say to Helen. Ask me. Ask me for something that you need so you don't need to run around. She was looking for a fur coat, and he said, I know exactly where to tell you to go. Helen was a little stubborn. Helen said, no, I want to go shopping. I want to do my own thing. And he said, well, it's going to save you a lot of time. So I ask him, should I do this thing? Yes or no? Sometimes I'll use my pendulum, but usually it's direct contact.
This is fascinating. We could talk about all of this for hours and hours and hours. And I am looking at your website now. This is so much and so helpful. You've got one-on-one sessions, you've got your events up here, your mentorship, and your programs. Real quick, is there any program that you would like to promote right now?
Yeah, there's one that we have that I'm calling it spiritual intimacy, and it's about getting closer to God. So I was raised as a Catholic, as a Christian, and then we found out we were Jewish, and, I studied Buddhism and I studied Kabbalah, but we were told that you can't talk to God directly, and that's the biggest
Alice.
bit of misinformation, the biggest fallacy, exactly. Of course we can talk to God, and God wants nothing more than to talk to us directly.
Sure
So
does.
it's about teaching people how to speak to God and how to get closer to God.
I love that. I love this.
Yeah. We're
So
gonna do it July 3rd and July 10th. It's gonna be 2 classes because I'm gonna give people a bunch of homework to do to learn, to practice this. And the class is gonna be $444, and, they'll be able to get a recording if they can't attend in person, but it's gonna be really, really powerful.
it's so powerful. I hope you will be offering it again because this
Yes.
episode is going to be out after that.
Okay. Yeah, not a problem. Plus, there's always the recording that's usually sold for half price that's available afterward. But I'm being downloaded by Yeshua all the time and new things to teach. I think there's another one that we're calling the power of the word. In the beginning was the word, the power of the spoken word. So if people understood the power of prayer, and when you pray out loud and you talk directly to God, because otherwise it gets lost in the mishigas of the laundry list and the shopping I have to do and why did that person cut me off and the judgments that we have. When you talk out loud to God, God listens and it helps us to build our vessel bigger because He wants to give us everything that we desire because He gave us the desire in the first place.
Yes, I love that. I love that. So on your website, we can find all of the programs, all of the
Mhm.
things as well.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. It's soulmasteryuniversity.com.
Yes, soulmasteruniversity.com. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for joining
Thank you.
me on this. I can't wait for this new Mary
Book.
Magdalene book to
Yeah.
come out. Yeah,
Yeah, I'll definitely make sure I'll put you on the list to make sure you get a copy.
that would be wonderful. And where can we get the book that you've already channeled, the Magdalene book?
It's on Amazon, and it's called Channeling Magdalene, A Year of Love by Reverend Lynn LaBorde.
Love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Reverend Lynn. I'm
It was my pleasure.
learning about all you do. All right, take care, and we will talk to you another time.
Thank
Thanks.
you so much.
Don't know what to watch next? Decisions, decisions. Well, we've got some suggestions. You can click this little video here and watch that. It's something that we think you're going to like. If you like the last one, you're going to like that one too. You can also click on the subscribe button. And if you do that, then you'll get notifications whenever we have a new video up. Win-win, right?